Indian Labour Ministry has now directed the Karnataka Labour Department to take urgent action to resolve the very dispute surrounding the mass layoffs at the IT giant Infosys. This, in fact, comes after the Nascent Information Technology Employees Senate, that is the NITES, and Independent Tech Employees Union, filed a formal complaint alleging that Infosys forcibly terminated over 700 freshers who had undergone foundational training at its Mysuru campus. Now, Infosys, however, admitted to laying off only 300 freshers, citing their failure to clear internal assessments after 3 attempts, a process the company claims has been in place for over 2 decades. Terminated employees were reportedly made to sign mutual separation agreements, a move the NITES has called illegal and in violation of the very Industrial Disputes Act 1947. The union's complaint demands an investigation, a restraining order against Infosys to halt further terminations, reinstatement of all affected employees, and penal action against the company. In response, the Labour Ministry has in fact instructed Karnataka officials to address the issue urgently. Labour Department officials have visited Infosys' Bangalore and Mysuru campuses late on Thursday to investigate the matter. Meanwhile, former employees have alleged that this is the first time Infosys has laid off such a large number of freshers, raising serious concerns about the future batches. Infosys has in fact denied any forceful terminations, stating that its hiring process is rigorous and transparent. However, the controversy has sparked a broader debate on labour rights and corporate accountability in the IT sector. Now, joining me on the bulletin is Vikram, the General Secretary of the AIITEA, that is the All India IT Employee Association, and our colleague Gautam Shankar. A very good morning to both of you, gentlemen. Now, help me understand this. Vikram, I'll come to you first. You know, we're speaking of, even if it is just 300 people we're speaking of, and we are not considering the 700 that's been alleged by the union themselves. If I'm not wrong, the ID Act of 1947 requires special permission to be sought if more than 100 people are being terminated from a given company. Is it not? So why this particular step has been taken, and seeking whose permission? What exactly was the whole process behind it?
Good morning. So there are 2 things that needs to be addressed here, right? In Karnataka, one, in the labor law, we have a strict exemption from the standing. There's a standing order exemption for the IT companies, so which we have been protesting for a very long time. That this needs to be addressed as the foremost. This we have been asking for almost like 10 years now, right? So this allows IT companies to have a small leeway there in terms of how the IT Act gets enabled and everything, right? And then if we actually go to a labor law and labor code, does a white collar employee be qualified as a labor? That's another question that needs to be asked. And the entire labor law, because I mean, we have moved from the blue collar economy to more towards the white collar economy. So we need to include this employee workforce also into the labor law act. So most of the time when someone approaches the labor court or the labor commissioner, the first question that we ask: are you eligible to be called as a labor?
Right. So, you know, at this point, then the next question that comes in, and Gautam, I'll bring you into this conversation. Let me just clarify certain points here for our viewers to also understand what exactly has gone down. Help us understand then, in this particular case, has the Infosys failed in its hiring process? Because we are speaking of a 2-year delay in joining. And after the 2 years, these particular freshers have been terminated. So where exactly was the lapse? Where exactly was the negligence on the part of the company?
Is this to me or Vikram?
Vikram, the question is for you. I'll just come to you, Gautam. Yes, Vikram, the question is for you. Just as a continuation of what has gone down wrong in terms of what Infosys themselves have done when we speak of the recruitment process.
See, this I'll take in 2 folds. The first fold would be the projection that a shareholder gets, right? what does shareholders see? Shareholders see the pipeline of projects that are coming in, pipeline of workforce that's coming in. So companies tend to have a larger workforce in their kitty, so that they can showcase a good scenario to the shareholders. That's one part of it, right? So because of which the share prices are regulated and things are good for everyone there, right? So that's one part of the story. Second part of the story is how we recruit these young minds. It's very unfortunate that the young minds are going through this, but how do we recruit, right? So Infosys has a company, or take for that matter, any tech company that goes into a campus recruitment. The primary goal for them is to check the aptitude of a college graduate. uh, from there, they start the first round as a purely aptitude. Then they go with the logical reasoning and those sort of things, right? They're not even checking if the students are industry ready. And these Infosys and then other companies who are also called as mass recruiters, when they go to a campus, they go with a big number that they come out with, right? So when they go with such big numbers to the college, they would have something in the pipeline, right? So they have some projects in the pipeline, some big things coming in the pipeline for the 1.5 years that they would have envisaged, and then they got these numbers from the colleges. But things don't go in that way. So when they have to offer to the students, they delay it, right? So when you say 2 years, uh, I would say it will be 3 years, considering that they got uh, placed somewhere in the third year, the pre-final year, right? Then they have lived one full year of their final year thinking that they're okay. Once I come out of college, I'm going to get into a company. I'm getting to place. I'll be working with a MNC company. So that is the thought process that a student has, right? And then after 2 years, and you still wait for an offer letter from these guys so that you get a joining date from them. So even after then, right? So you had complete 2 years to check their whether they are ready for you or not. That you didn't do. But then you give them offer, then you put them into a 3 months program, and then if you want them to be if you have something pipelined and which has got uh, materialized, you get them onboarded with a easier test. If you have to fire them, you could make the test a little strict and a little tough. So the most part of them fail the test, and then they are asked to move out. So when you have getting the students, why don't you check whether they are capable enough to be trained and then get them onboarded? It's a life of a young mind which is in question here.
Absolutely, Vikram. Agree with you 100% there. And in fact, those are the questions, pressing questions that's coming to the fore at this given hour. Let me just bring in Gautam into the conversation at this point. Gautam, let me just shift the focus to the probe that has now been ordered by the centre. From what we have learned so far, the union has, in fact, the Union Labour Ministry has in fact come out to say that the Karnataka government needs to probe into this mass layoff. What has exactly gone down in Infosys? What are the updates we are getting on this front so far?
Yes, yeah. So a team from the central government actually visited Mysuru on Monday, and they collected all the details of these mass layoffs of around 400 trainees that have happened in Infosys here. Now, the Chief Labour Commissioner's office has issued a letter instructing authorities in Karnataka to intervene and update the complaint and report back to the central ministry as well. Now, what will happen next is basically the central government ministry will take a look at the layoffs that have happened, because the thing that needs to be really looked at and the probe that is happening is whether Infosys has done it as a cost cutting tactic or basically as a performance based dismissal, as they claim is what it is. And Vikram also raised quite a few pertinent points over there. If over such a long period of time you're not able to determine if someone you onboarded is not ready to be an employee yet, then the Infosys needs to look back at its own system to have look back to ensure that these layoffs do not happen in the future. Because the layoffs that have happened, it basically highlights broader issues, doesn't it? In the IT sector that's happening across India as well. These onboarding delays happen, and then there's uncertainties over hiring, and they have become increasingly common. And then you make it to a big company like Infosys, and then you are laid off in a matter of months. This is extremely disturbing development that's happening. But Infosys has, you rightly pointed out, they have defended the decision, and internal assessments are part of their onboarding process. I understand that, but you can't take such a long period of time and put the future of these employees at stake here, Sriya.
Absolutely. You know, Vikram, coming back to the conversation we were having with regards to what has gone down wrong. Now, we are also taking into account that, yes, assessment takes its own time, but we also need to understand the delay that's taken place. And now, Infosys has come out to say that A, it's not 700 people who's been laid off, but it's 300. But would you say that Infosys has also had a lapse in terms of recruitment that they have done, in terms of the recruitment agencies that they have in place, in terms of the colleges they have visited to recruit these people, these particular people? The point here being that 2 years went by. Why were there no initial notifications issued to these students that, yes, you know, after these particular tests, you will be terminated if you don't clear it? What was the standard procedure? And there seems to be that at some point the standard procedure, operating procedure was either not followed or there was a gross negligence there.
Absolutely. See, one, they go through a completely different set of uh, interview panels, right? So the interview is just to check the communication of a student. But before that, they write a test, which is not relevant to the IT perspective. I mean, it is more like an aptitude, logical reasoning. You understand some background, you understand some basics of programming. So you have understood that the candidate is teachable with all your parameters that you have selected and that you have got the given the offer to the student. Now, post that, why don't you have a program where you do them industry ready while they're at the college itself, right? So, or maybe you give them another 3 months time. I mean, you have almost waited 2 years after the final year is over. So, in between 2 years, have you given them enough opportunity where they could do all your assessments in place, and then you could have got them onboarded? Why wait 2 years altogether and then do a 3 months training and then quickly fire them because they're not ready? Why was no initiative? I mean, I'm not just blaming company for this. Our education curriculum at the engineering colleges also don't point to making students industry ready. We are talking of a lot of other things. I mean, see, all things that are catching up are AI, ML. Hardly few colleges are doing these courses, right? And when we're talking of other things, are the colleges actually making them industry ready, or are they giving the theoretical knowledge only? We need theory, of course, but we also need to be industry ready if the companies actually want the students also, right? So one is it's our has a fault of our educational curriculum also. We have not made our student industry ready. Second, if you have seen a student is capable of being part of your organization, why have you not taken step in the last 2 years to make them ready while you want to onboard,
That
and
is
but
that is
not just give
absolutely
3 months of
the
time for them, right?
absolutely.